Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, no matter where you are. Welcome back to Business Without Borders. My name is Angie Snowball Thompson, and if you've seen the show before, you know that I love to go around the world, talk to people living in different countries, and learn what it's like to live there and to work there. There's lots of cultural books, there's lots of articles, there's lots of scholarly people in universities telling us what it's like, but there's no better source than someone who actually lives there and actually works there. So today I would like to invite my guest, Mr. Sanjeev Jayaratnam. And Sanjeev and I both belong to a group called BNI, where we met on a power team of trainers and coaches and people looking to help get together and help people with different skills. So I would first like to say, Sanjeev, welcome, and thank you for joining me today. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Angie, and hi, everyone listening in. It's really lovely to be here. Thank you so much, Angie, for the invitation. So I'm Sanjeev, all the way from sunny Sri Lanka. Although at the moment it's actually about to rain, so not so sunny at the moment. But yeah, so Sri Lanka is an island south of India. Yeah, south of
Yeah.
India, right at the tip of India. So it's an island with a huge, with a long, very rich history of more than 4,000, 6,000 years BC. Yeah, before Christ. Yeah, so we have
Wow.
a very long and rich history. And it's a lovely place to live in. I'm sure lots of you may have been on holiday here. We have fabulous beaches and uh, lots of interesting things to see and do.
Yeah, definitely. When I got ready for that too, that when I was looking and talking to Sanjeev about doing this, I was looking at some of the numbers and I'm like, wait a minute, like BC said like 3,000 years of that's documented history. You also have history of like human evidence of like human existence of some of the oldest in the entire world. Which I thought was interesting, maybe because it's an island that it was not disturbed. I don't know, but that was really fascinating to me too. So also, I think I would like to start with one of the well, first, Sanjeev, tell me a little bit about what you do, because I think
Okay,
that's another reason this was really, really interesting to bring Sanjeev on.
sure.
He does a lot of training and coaching, which we'll talk about. But one of the things that fascinated me was he's also a speed reading coach. And I often am starting to get more and more asked about this. So tell us a little bit about what you do
Sure.
and some of the things that you offer.
So, Angie, my background was actually information technology. I used to work for Microsoft. Of course, everyone knows Microsoft, and also another ERP company called IFS, which is a Swedish company. So I was managing consulting and project management for these organizations for many years. Of course, I've also been lecturing for 21 years now, lecturing for bachelor's and master's level of studies for degrees which are awarded by universities like Manchester Metropolitan University, University of Westminster, University of Wales. So those degrees are the students study for them in Sri Lanka, but it's awarded by these international bodies. So I have been actually lecturing for at these places for a long time now. So in 2008, I actually shifted and started my own thing, doing corporate training. And speed reading was one of the first courses I started teaching, uh, purely by accident, really. So I learned speed reading, Angie, as you were saying, you learned it as well when you were studying, and so did
Yeah.
I learned it when I was trying to start my MBA, and I saw the ton of books that I had to read, and that really scared me. So I found this course on speed reading, and I actually learned it. I basically taught myself, and then just used it for my own purposes. So somewhere around 2008, I was having a chat with a friend, and that guy realized that I have learned this, and he asked me, "Can you teach my staff?" And I had never thought of teaching this before, so I taught his staff, and well, that's where it all started actually. My teaching speed reading.
Wow, that's fascinating how we both kind of fell into it, yet without having it. Like you said, I could not imagine having gotten through college, and definitely not my master's degree without the ability to speed read. And I think it's also a valuable skill that you can use as you get older. So we both talked about school and university, but I recently had a guy who asked me, he said, "Look, I have 4 kids. And I'm trying to do a lot of professional development. I want to read John Maxwell. I want to do this, but I've got about 15 minutes before I fall asleep every night. So how do I do this?" And whether you have kids, a family, or you're just busy, what a wonderful skill to be able to pick things up and read it. Someone told me about another cultural book just the other day, and I had about an hour before my interview, and I thought, man, that'd be really interesting to read. So I told her, I said, I just read it. And she said, "Oh, really? When?" I said, "Oh, just before." She's like, "In an hour?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, that's a very normal thing for us." So if you're interested in speed reading it, it really is an amazing skill that I think is valuable forever.
And just to put something in perspective, so Angie, you said somebody told you they just have 15 minutes to read before going to bed. Yeah. So without speed reading, 15 minutes would actually be 15 minutes. But with speed reading, you could actually get through what you would normally read in an hour in 15 minutes.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah, it is. I never thought about the actual time consumed. I just always would think about other people. Or I know in college, one of the girls, she would read. I thought, how are you still possibly reading that novel? Like, you have had that thing there for a week. Like, how are you doing that? Yeah. That's crazy. That's a lot of time on your plate. And something else I like to think about with training and coaching, because you never know. Prices are all over the place. Economies are all over the place. That'll be one of my questions for you. But something that I think is crazy is you put a price out there and some people are like, "Oh my gosh, this is so expensive." And other people are, "Oh my gosh, what a value." And something people are not doing is actually looking at that value. So when you're talking about an hour into 15 minutes, if you spent 4 hours doing something, that's 3 hours of your time that you save. What is your time worth? If your time is worth $100 an hour, you just saved $300 in 15 minutes, in 45 minutes. So if you multiply that every week, does it really matter what that course is worth?
It's huge. And it's also, Angie, I was reading this article where it said that especially after COVID, people today are more stressed out than ever. They are working harder than ever. They are working more hours, especially if you're working from home. You're working more hours than you used to do. Yeah. Which means that you have even less time to do all the things you really want to do. Less time to spend with your family, your friends, your hobbies, whatever. So something we try to do through the program that I teach is that if you just spend, let's say on a normal day, let's say you spend 2 hours reading, you would gain 4 extra days for the month, and that's like having 2 extra weekends.
Yeah. I mean,
that's amazing, really. Yeah,
it really is. It's truly amazing. What would you do with that much? Then we can travel more. We can do more stuff. Oh my gosh, really amazing. So just before we go forward, unfortunately, for some reason, we are not connecting to LinkedIn. We're still on Facebook Live. We're still on YouTube Live. It appears to be an issue with LinkedIn. Remove and re-add it. We'll see what happens there. But we are still we're still live on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll put the recording on LinkedIn if it doesn't work. But I just want to let you know that we are still live, and not sure what's happening with LinkedIn there. So let's talk a little bit more about Sri Lanka. One thing I had no idea, I only found out, was this, like, what are those? I mean, are those your letters? That's crazy, because a huge from my understanding, a huge amount of the people in Sri Lanka speak English. Is that correct? As a second language?
Yes, absolutely. So we have 2 main languages. What you have on the slide or on the screen is Sinhalese, which is the language spoken by the majority, vast majority really. And then we have our second language, which is the second most most spoken language, which is Tamil.
Okay.
And Tamil is also the language of the people of the south of India, Tamil Nadu. So although there are proportionately there are less Tamils in Sri Lanka, there are millions of Tamils in Tamil Nadu of India. Yeah, so that's the language. The roots of this language is actually Sanskrit, which comes
Oh,
from India.
okay.
Yeah. So that's the. I hope I'm right. Somebody might correct me. It's Sanskrit. and what you had put up on the slide basically said Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. It's still not. Oh, sorry, I'm a little. I was really trying to get it to go to LinkedIn. It's not working. And the size of Sri Lanka, you have 22 million people.
That's right.
That by an American standard, if I look at this map of where you are again, does not look that large. And it looks like a very small. And they put 22 million people in there. Is it a crowded area, or do you have plenty of room? Because what was a little bit confusing as I looked at Sri Lanka, I looked at 22 million people, but then I saw some of these beautiful pictures, which I'll also share here, of elephants, mountains, beaches. And I thought, how do they fit all of this into this island?
Okay, so it's not as small as it looks, first of all.
Okay.
And also actually the population density is much higher in the cities than the villages. So as you go out of Colombo, for example, it starts to thin out a little bit, and then each city, of course, has a fairly high population density. So these what you see now are basically tea plantations. So lots of the hill country has tea being grown there. And the amazing thing about Sri Lanka is really that within a couple of hours, maybe within 2 hours, you can get from the beach, which would be relatively warm, to the cool hills. Yeah. And another 2 hours in a slightly different direction, and you'll get to wildlife. You'll see leopards and elephants, and so you can go on safari and all of that. So, and also we have the ruins of this. That's right. That's, I think, Pulau Narua, one of heritage cities, really, where you get lots of really well preserved ruins and temples and palaces and things like that. So actually it's you see a lot, and you can do a lot within a fairly small, relatively small area, and within a couple of hours, really. So, and that's really nice.
I mean, it really is fascinating how much you could see and do, and to know it's in a couple hours, because it's always hard. What I've learned about traveling and culture is that everything, size is so relative, right? So I'm from the United States. I have plenty of room, plenty of area, and I have a pretty good idea of what it's going to take for me to get to California, or California to New York. But then I look at it on the map, and I look at Germany, and I think, oh, it looks really small, compared to the US. But Germany too, if you go from south to north, is a 10, 12-hour drive, depending on how much you take advantage of the Autobahn. So I look at Sri Lanka, I'm starting to think, I don't know how big these are. It's so hard to envision from the map, its size-wise. That's really fascinating. And you mentioned Colombo. It's not your capital though, right? That's the largest city, but the capital, I think, is that right? I could never say that.
It's Sri Jayaratnam Kotte. That's actually, it's in the Colombo district. So it is well, I live about 5 kilometers away from Sri Jayaratnam. But virtually we consider ourselves to be a part of Colombo. So
Interesting. So Beautiful, beautiful place to live, beautiful place to visit. And although you have these different languages that you speak, I feel like it would be a great place for someone to tour, because there is a great deal of English there as well. Now,
Absolutely.
what about working with people from Sri Lanka? You were actually the first person I encountered from Sri Lanka, and I
Okay.
thought, oh, that's fun. That's kind of a country that I hear about in movies and stories, and I don't know anything
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So what's it like to work with your culture?
Okay, so from what I'm told, Sri Lankans are very easy to work with, and so when you compare Sri Lankans with some of the other maybe South Asian or Asian nationalities, something that has come through is that uh, we are easy to work with. So I can't really comment because I'm Sri Lankan myself, but this is something I've heard, and we have lots of Sri Lankans working for Google, working for NASA. There was a colleague of mine who actually we sang together in the same music group, who was working at NASA. So he went from here, did his PhD in the US, and then yeah. So we have people working at Microsoft in very very senior positions. So and actually software engineering or ICT is an area well, we I think there are lots of Sri Lankans who are contributing in fairly big ways to we that's one of our exports now. So we export software, and there are lots of companies which have set up development centers in Sri Lanka. Yeah, so they may be operating in other countries, but the development work, the actual engineering happens here. Even IFS was a company like that. So that's a Swedish company, and their main development center with about more than 1,300 odd people today is located in Colombo.
See, I think that's really makes you almost the perfect culture to work with, because all this big business, you definitely know what you're doing. You've got people working all over the world, high level positions, yet I would agree with you, at least my tiny exposure. I feel like you have a very islander personality. You're very calm, you're very open, you're very, very easy to work with. And yeah, a lot of people in other Asian cultures, not that they're difficult, but there's a larger gap between an American personality and an Asian. The typical, there's always, as I always say, nothing's ever meant to be offensive or stereotypical.
Yeah.
But Americans are generally known to be more laid back, and some of the Asian cultures, like a Japanese culture, is much more serious, especially in business. Now you also have the once business is over, they're crazier than we are type of thing. But I think that's what makes your culture really easy to work with. How about the well, actually, before I go there, I'm going to mention this because I didn't put it in there yet. So let's do this. You just touched on it, but something else that's very interesting about Sanjeev here. Let me see if I just add this in here, is his work as a choral conductor. So in addition to being a transformational coach, he's a world champion choral conductor. And you did just briefly mention the music. So tell me a little bit more about that part of your life and
Okay.
what that's also like in Sri Lanka. What's the cultural aspects, the music and dance?
Okay. So yeah, so let me talk a little bit about this. So I actually co-founded a music group called the Revelations in 1994. Really, yeah. So it was all male group and a cappella group. Yeah, and in 2008, really, yeah, 2008, we actually took part in this competition run by an organization called Interculture, which is a German organization. It was a competition in Austria, 93 countries, well, there were choirs from 93 countries participating. And our group actually became world champions in two categories. Yeah, so this
Wow.
small number of guys, it was just 8 of us and 10 of us in one category. We managed to do that. And so this is my passion, really. The music is one of my passions. And then I started working with a high school in Colombo, an all girls school, and they became one of the best youth choirs in the Asia Pacific region. So we were able to go up to that level actually. So
Wow.
I also run a small school where we teach the performing arts to kids from the age of 4 years and up. Yeah. So
Very
we
cool.
we do that as well. So something interesting, well, I think it's interesting that I must say is, although although I have done a lot of music conducting, choral conducting, and even writing of music, transcribing things, I have had absolutely no formal education in this at all. Yeah,
Wow, really? Oh my
zero,
gosh, world
actually
champion.
nothing.
No, that is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So that's really interesting to hear too. I remember hearing that about you and I thought, this guy does a little bit of everything. So let's talk more, a little bit more about like the economy. First of all, what is your currency? What do you use there?
Okay, so we have a currency called the Sri Lankan rupee.
Okay.
The Sri Lankan rupee.
And do you happen to know like what the conversion would be to an American dollar?
Okay, so these days it's not too great.
Okay.
It's good for the Americans though.
Okay.
It's about roughly between 190 to 200 rupees for a dollar.
Okay. And when you, because I really do think, like, I recommend you as the speed reading coach. And I think that as more people see this and are interested, I think some people don't think about it as a skill that can be learned, especially at an older age. But of course, you can learn this at any age and becomes more useful as you get older. As you mentioned, who doesn't want the 4 extra days a week, 4 extra days a month, right? I mean, that's crazy. Everybody wants that. So when you do that, do you quote in the local currency, or how do you give proposals?
Yeah. So just to put things in perspective a little bit now, well, it might come out as marketing. I hope that's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
So we are pricing the program at 99 US.
Okay. And how long is the program?
Okay, so it is a hybrid program. There are 4 sessions of 2 hours each. Okay. So that's 8 hours in total that you would actually learn the skill in a classroom with me. Okay. Being there physically present. So it's not a canned program. It's not something recorded and where you follow it on your own and you try to learn the skill. This is where you have a coach who's fully committed to your success. And so I really drive you to make sure that you get those benefits that you have signed up for. See, it's like you can go and try to learn to swim on your own and you would achieve something. But when there is a coach trying to motivate and not taking no for an answer and pushing us through, they're going to achieve that much more, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so true. I just started this with Pilates. Like I was like, oh, I can do it on YouTube. Why would I pay a trainer to do this? It's all, there's a million things. But guess what? I never did it. And now I have this coach that I'm like, in 2 weeks, I'm in better shape than I was in a year.
So that is actually one of the key differences between the program that we do. Yeah, because there is a how do I say, a live component. Yeah, so it's like, Angie, you're there, you're following the course, and you ask me a question. I'm having a problem right now, Sanjeev. How do I do this? And you get an answer right now. Yeah, and I see you. I can see your expressions, and I can help you. So it's like helping you to excel, helping you to actually reach your full potential. Yeah, not settling for anything less. So that's part of it, and also part of it is where you don't really need to be with me. There are parts of the learning which you can do in your own time. So it's hybrid in that sense.
I love that. And the courses, because that's a phenomenal price. Is that a group learning environment that we do it in?
It is.
Okay. And let me just say on his behalf, because I often have people that are concerned about the group lessons. And as a coach, I hope I speak for Sanjeev too. Group lessons are most likely my favorites because not only, as long as you're coming in at the same level, but let's face it, if you're going to learn speed reading, you're all going to be at the same level. If you know how to do it or you don't, right? So you're starting at the same level. And one of the great things about group classes is that people ask questions you didn't know to ask. So you will sometimes learn things that you would never have learned on your own because it wasn't a question that you thought to ask. It also adds an extra level of support. So you see the other struggles or challenges people are having, and you're not the only one. Or the opposite, you see someone doing really well and you're challenged, and you can ask that person, what are you doing? What am I missing? And they may see it, because the one thing, especially communication, I've learned over the years, is perspective is everything. Some people can see something right in front of them, that right in front of you, that you can't see, right? So I think that's a very important part of understanding how well group classes work. And let's face it, Americans, that is one heck of a value. That's one heck of a price for a package of that much time to learn how to speed read. You're basically, and I'm going to just correct you if I'm wrong, but you did say $99. Is that right?
That's right.
So this man is offering us basically 4 extra days a month for $99. I just to make sure everybody heard that, because I pay $100 for an hour. Let's just be honest. So I mean, that's a really great value, and another reason we should open our minds about working with other countries on Business Without Borders, because we're all helping each other. I mean, it's great for you to have the business. It's a great skill for us to have. And there's no reason why we can't communicate. English is almost everyone's second language. So very, very interesting things. So by the way, if you want to find him, this is his LinkedIn number right here. And Sanjeev, is it okay with you if I also share what's the best way that you want people to reach you?
Well, any way is fine, really. So LinkedIn is fine. Okay. Yeah, and we also have the direct site for the speed reading program, which is 4 extra days with the number 4 and then extra days in English.
Okay.
.sanjeevjay.com. So 4 extra days. .sanjeevjay.com.
I was just looking for it. I thought I had it all ready to go. I'm sorry. So we'll look at that though. But 4 extra days. That's a great that's a great name, by the way. You don't miss the meaning there, do you? That's really cool. Yeah, I can't find it, but you'll have to we'll have to share that one too.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll share it on the website there. Okay, so anything else, Sanjeev, that you'd like to add, either about your programs or about Sri Lanka? I know I was just fascinated with everything that's in Sri Lanka, just kind of all packed in there. It's a really interesting place. Well, I guess before that, I forgot to ask you about religions. That's like the number one question no one ever wants to ask, especially in the U.S. It's completely taboo. But I'm just curious, like what are the types of religions there, and is it something that is in any way an issue? Last week we were in Malaysia, and they have all kinds of different religions, and not only is it not an issue, but they all celebrate each other. Like they're super happy, mostly because they get vacation days for like everything. But it's not like that. So what's it like in Sri Lanka?
Okay, so you see the slide behind me. Yeah, so it says, let me move to the side.
Yeah.
So Vesak,
That's what reminded me.
So Vesak is actually one of the main Buddhist holy festivals in the country, and it's the day actually that is remembered for the day that Lord Buddha was born, reached enlightenment, and also passed away. So it's generally celebrated on a very grand scale. So those illuminations you see are what is called Vesak lanterns, and all the streets would be lit up, all the houses would be lit up, and it's really beautiful to see. But today we are actually in a well, it's called travel restrictions, but it's actually a semi-lockdown because of COVID. So this particular year there isn't too much of a celebration, but otherwise it's a holy festival. But people also it's like Christmas. Although Christmas is the birth of Christ, well, Santa Claus is sometimes remembered more than Christ.
Yeah, very, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today is a Buddhist festival. A couple of weeks ago, we had a Muslim festival of Ramadan. Yeah, and Angie, as you said, like in Malaysia, we enjoy each other's festivals. I'm a Christian,
Okay.
but my wife is a Buddhist. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we celebrate all these festivals, and let's say Ramadan, for example, we look forward to getting all the traditional food. There's this really yummy thing called watalappan, which my Muslim friends would make, and then they would send it home and stuff like that. So yeah, so we get a lot of this type of things happening. Yeah, we have four religions. So there is Buddhism, which is the majority. Then we have the Hindus, yeah, Hinduism.
Mhm.
Then we have Islam, and then we have Christianity.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, see, I love that. I'm so fascinated by that because in the United States, we obviously, I mean, well, all over the place. But one thing I would say is we don't talk about it. Like, it's usually not something you talk about. And I just think it's beautiful that your culture not only talks about it, but celebrates it. Like, you were so happy talking about the Muslim food, and it's like, this is great, you know? And I think that's really, really, really special and really important because spirituality or your choice of religion can be such a huge part of who you are as a person. And when you're celebrating something that's so important to you and everyone else is going on as if there's nothing happening that day, that I don't know, it's almost disrespectful. Almost
It
saying
is.
nothing is disrespectful. And I'll be honest with you, the only reason I know a lot of the Muslim or Buddhist holidays or the Hindi holidays is because of LinkedIn and my connections around the world. And I'll see someone say Happy Diwali, and I'm thinking, what is Diwali? I don't even know what it is. And then I have Indian friends. And here I thought, all these years, I've just been going around on Diwali like nothing ever happened, you know, and that's so sad in some ways. So I really admire that your cultures integrate and respect and celebrate each other. Yeah,
nice.
definitely. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so I think we learned a lot about Sri Lanka. We learned that the culture is very friendly and easy to work with. We learned that we can get 4 extra days if we call Sanjeev for $100. So that's a heck of a program there. And just how beautiful Sri Lanka is. I will say it's kind of funny that we did a show in South Africa, and Monica says, now, just so you know, there's not lions in the front yard. And then we were in India, and Neha said, just so you know, I don't have tigers in my backyard. And I'm just assuming these elephants that you have are not roaming the streets, but they're in wild parks and safaris. Is it the same there?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Other than well, there are some elephants who are domiciled. Am I saying it right? Who are tame, and who actually belong to some of the more affluent temples. So there are, and these elephants are used in pageants, in parades and things like that. But very, very, very interesting. You were saying, are there elephants or are there these guys around? The area that I live in, well, actually, we have monkeys who come to my garden.
Okay, I was going to ask that next because there are a lot of countries that just have monkeys hanging out, and that makes me laugh. That's so cool. Yeah, we were in Gibraltar once, and they're just everywhere. Like, you walk out, there's just monkeys on the porch. So you do have monkeys that come to your garden.
We do have monkeys. So I am like, well, I live in an area where there are a lot of trees, fair amount of open space. But there are more buildings coming up now, so I hope the monkeys don't get wiped out. But at the moment, there are monkeys and quite big monkeys. So not always the most pleasant thing, because you don't know. I'm always hoping they don't come into the house.
Yeah. That's so funny. See, I'm worried about keeping like the flies out of my house, and he's like, "Don't let the monkeys in." Oh, that's so funny. That's awesome. So yeah, thank you, Sanjeev. I feel like we've learned a lot, both about you, your programs, the country. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Angie, and yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. It's been great chatting with you, and also I think you did some fabulous marketing on my behalf. So thank you very much.
Oh no, I really
All the
believe
good
in what
things
you
you said.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I should let people know that I am also going to pop in on his course, even though I already have the skill, because I'm just more curious to see how it's working. Sanjeev
Yeah.
very generously offered to let me sit in and see how he does it. So if you have any questions about how it works, and you're worried about getting that some, let's say, the faculty opinion, you can ask me, because he's just a referral partner. I get nothing out of it. I would not send you the wrong way. But I have been very impressed working with Sanjeev as a coach, as a person, with his communication skills. I'm very happy to work with him and to recommend him. So
Thank you very much. And one thing I must add is that we guarantee that you will be at minimum 100% better than you were at the start.
wow, see, he keeps pulling his
Yeah.
guarantees out of nowhere. He's full of
Yeah.
good things.
So, because, and why I do that is because it's really easy. It is not difficult to become 100% better than where you are. But 100% is huge, isn't it? It's like saying, okay, if you normally take 2 hours to read something, you can do it in one.
Right.
And that is, it's like well, I have been teaching this now for 13 years. Yeah, about 3,500 odd people from 15 countries have participated, have learned this with me, and well, they have all become 100% better. At least some of them go 200, 300, 400% better.
Isn't
But
that crazy?
yeah, 100% is quite easy, really.
And I know we keep talking about, but as he was talking, I thought another thing. And first, I want to say hi to Linda Weil. She's my groupie. She's always my best supporter. She's always here to watch and talk. So thank you, Linda, for joining us again. I really enjoy having you here. It's fun. But you're talking about how much better you would be. And another thought that I had was, Annette, when I talked to Dustin, who I eventually sent to you, there was someone else sitting there, and he was like, wow, do you actually read books? Because I just listen to books. And a lot of people are doing audiobooks.
Yeah.
But we all read. We are all reading the internet. We have an overflow of information, a plethora at our fingertips on the phone. We are Googling, we're reading articles, we're reading blogs. You're still going to get those 4 extra days. You may not read a book, but you're still reading through all kinds of different news, articles, information, whatever. So I really strongly encourage everybody to reach out and add this skill to your repertoire. I mean, what an amazing opportunity.
And we actually all have to read for work anyway. So if you're a lawyer, you have tons to read. You're a doctor, you have tons to read. You're a student, you have to read. If you're a business person, you have board papers to read, policy reports to read, so much of Word documents, PDFs to read. Yeah. So it's not only for leisure reading. It's actually, well, leisure reading is like it's the icing on the cake, but it's really to finish the work-related or study-related reading you have to do, which you need to get through it. You can't put it aside and say, I'm not going to read it. You have to read it. And it sometimes takes such a long time. And just if I may, Angie, one of the problems that people have with reading is just that reading is so boring and it just takes too long.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like staring at one page and I'm not getting through it because I'm reading so slowly that my mind is wandering all over the place. It's thinking of 1,000 other things. Yeah. So I'm not focused. That is the essential thing. I'm not focused.
Right.
And what speed reading does is it actually increases your focus to 100%. So eliminates your distractions. And if that makes sense, because you're focused now, you could actually read faster.
Yeah. And that's another good point, is learning the art of focusing. Speed reading is not just about reading. It is about that. It's about learning the art of focusing. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm the first one. If there's a sparkly object, I'm gone. And that's probably why it was really helpful for me to learn to speed read, because when I need to focus, I have that ability. I mean, but I have to use it. It's a skill. My personality is not a focused one. My personality is ADHD. It's all over. But I have that ability, and I really would attribute a lot of that to the skills I learned in speed reading. So I think that is also really, really important. We really should have called this session speed reading. It might have been even more interesting. Speed reading in Sri Lanka. Yeah, but so thank you for those who joined on Facebook and YouTube. And I will be downloading and putting it on LinkedIn. Sorry, the live button didn't work. I'm not sure. Just kicked us out. So, but we will still have that on LinkedIn. And thank you, Sanjeev, again for being with me today. I really enjoyed it. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your week.
And you too, Angie. And thank you, everyone, for watching, for listening. It's been absolutely awesome. Stay safe, everyone. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.